So I've been driving through this area for years, literally hundreds of times, like probably 200 times a year on the way to work. And I've never really given it much thought. It was always just kind of there. I think I took it for granted a little bit. And, this year we had a big wildfire blow through here. The Cascatna River wildfire started not very far away and kind of blew through the area. My home was in the evacuation alert area, and the evacuation order included work, and we had been kind of kicked out of certain areas for quite a while, for a good part of the start of the summer. So, like later in the summer, I kind of decided I have to explore this area a bit more. Once they started to open things back up, I really got in there. And I was in there a little bit during the fire too for work, but, you know, seeing it all and seeing it in jeopardy, I thought I need to really explore this area. And to be honest, most of us don't have that much time for big trips anymore. We've got work, family, everything else. Getting away for the week isn't always realistic. I started kind of leaning into the micro adventure. A while back, I picked up a dual sport bike, and it's completely changed how I look at where I live. Instead of waiting for vacations and long weekends, I can just head out for a few hours and explore what's right in my backyard. No planning, no packing, just riding. What really surprised me was how much was out there that I'd never really noticed before. Hidden trails, quiet viewpoints, places I'd passed my whole life without really seeing. These short rides, they actually don't feel small though, they feel like genuine escapes. This gave me space to breathe, to reset, to feel like I've actually gone somewhere, even if I'm home by dinner. It's been a total reminder that adventure doesn't really have to be big to matter. Sometimes it just has to fit in the life you already have. So this ride here, I rode from my house across a fire break that was made for that fire, and I was able to hop on the boundary road and rip down. I hit Red Willow Falls on the way. I cruised into this little lake that's just past Red Willow Falls, and then I kept going, and I ended up backtracking north a little bit, onto the Noel Road, across the Hourglass Road, into Tumbler. Then on the way home, I hopped up to Thunder Mountain Fire Tower. It was super smoky out by that time, so there wasn't a great view to be had, but it's definitely somewhere I'm going to see again. Yeah, this is just to be a perfect example of how this bike has kind of opened things up for me, and it allowed me to kind of see the value in my local area. I used to always look past it, and adventures had to be huge to matter. I had to run ultras, or I had to do huge things for them to really matter. And to be honest, it's so rewarding. This trip in total probably took me like 6 hours, I'd say, and yeah, it cost me probably $9 in fuel. So it's been crazy, like great bang for your buck. It's really opened things up for me. So at this point in the trip, I had already crossed from the Highway 52 near Kelly Lake, across the Noel, the Hourglass, and back onto Highway 52. When you're crossing those, uh, I like to keep a road radio with me and have a headphone in so I can kind of hear what's coming and going. I only met a few cars, but this area is kind of intended for heavy industry, so it's good to be aware and not sneak up on those guys. It's not really safe for you or them. Um, and yeah, and I had crossed, and I was going to take the highway all the way home, but then I decided to hop into Thunder Mountain Fire Tower. So this fire tower looks like it was built in about the 60s. It was probably, honestly, only about an hour I spent going in and out of there. It was a quick look around, and you can make good time on the bike. Yeah, super cool spot. It's the tower itself looks to be in good shape, and you can get up there and look around. And then there's the little support building down below. It's got a stove and a table and some old logbooks and stuff. Looks like the last logs in there were probably from the 90s. Definitely a cool spot. The smoke had rolled in when I got there, or before I had got there, so the views were definitely hindered. But from up there, you usually get a pretty good view to the south. Some good mountain views looking across. Definitely worth going. I'm going to be back there for sure. It was so nice to kind of hit this ride. Yeah, like I said, in total, this was probably about a 6 hour or 6 plus hour round trip. this is something you could do on a summer evening when there's tons of daylight, or like a perfect, weekend morning trip. It was amazing to get out there. This cost me like I said, $9 or $10 in fuel. So like, as far as a financial and a time standpoint, this cost very little, and it was super amazing. I'm really excited now that the snow is starting to melt. It's February now. Days are getting longer. I'm so excited to get back out, explore some of these areas, and tell a few more of the stories of these spots. I picked up another bike over the winter, so I'm really hoping to kind of tell the story of how I got that, and what I can turn it into, and it's gonna be a good time. So if that's something you're into, stay tuned.